The president spent a short time at the UN this morning, slightly more than a half an hour. He's on his way back to Trump Tower, where later this afternoon he will, at a different hotel, hold a lot of bilateral meetings. Today will be a day of diplomacy. He'll be meeting with Moon Jae-in of South Korea, El-Sisi of Egypt, as well as President Macron of France. Last night he had dinner with Shinzo Abe of Japan. Tomorrow will be the big day for the president. That's when he will make his speech to the UN General Assembly. The tone of this year's speech should be a lot different than it was last year. Last year, the highlight was when he called out North Korean leader Kim Jong-un as Little Rocket Man. There won't be any of that language. The president really will more reflect on a speech that he gave last November at the APEC conference in Da Nang, Vietnam, where he talked about sovereignty in terms of putting the interests of the American people first. His national security advisor, John Bolton, talked more about that this morning. Listen here.
Well, I just wish I had thought of that line before he delivered it, because I think it really sums up in many respects what the president's policy is focused on. He looks out after the best interest of the American people. They're the ones who elected him. They're the ones he's responsible to. And I think in his speech to the General Assembly on Tuesday, his speech to the Security Council on Wednesday, he's going to try and explain that in respect of a number of things: interference in American politics, interference in our trade relations, how the U.S. exerts sovereignty.
Now, when the president talked about those themes at the APEC conference in Vietnam last November, he was criticized as putting forward an America First policy. The president makes no apologies for putting America first, but at the same time, he also said leaders of other countries should put the needs of their people first, because if all of the nations are working together to try to make the lot of their people better, then the world can be a better place.
Certainly a busy morning there along the East River in Manhattan. What can we expect, John, to hear regarding Iran and North Korea?
On North Korea, probably just language about how they're trying to make progress on this issue of denuclearization. One of the things he's going to talk with Moon Jae-in about is Moon had a meeting with Kim last week, and the United States is a little concerned that as the relations between the North and the South improve, it could undercut the push toward denuclearization. So I think they'll be talking a lot about that. Now, in terms of Iran, the president will be chairing and speaking to a UN Security Council meeting on Wednesday about the threat posed from Iran. Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State, has not ruled out a potential meeting between the president and Iranian President Rouhani. Not many people think that it's going to happen. In fact, Pompeo told Chris Wallace yesterday that the president would go all the way to the top if necessary and speak to the Ayatollah. Listen here.
The president said he'll talk with anyone if we can have a constructive conversation. We want Iran to stop being the world's largest state sponsor of terror. But make no mistake about it, there's no indication that they have any intent of doing this.
Now, the Ayatollah will not be here this week. Rouhani will be. It's highly doubtful that the two of them would meet, but you never know.